Hi everyone, Jason here at the Whittier Public Library with our next STEAM-powered science, Take and Make Science activity. Before we get started, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. This activity is supported by a grant from the Federal Institute of Museum and Library Services and from the California State Library. When you finish, we'd love it if you'd take our survey. You can find a paper copy of the survey in your kit, or you can also take the survey online. You will find the address on your paper survey in your kit, or I will display it on screen here for a few seconds. So let's go ahead and get started. As you know, STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So today we're going to do a science activity. We're going to learn a couple scientific concepts, and we're going to hopefully do some creativity and add some A for art in there as well. So today's experiment is called a candy rainbow, and we're going to make a rainbow using one of my favorite fruit flavored candies, Skittles. Hopefully you picked up one of our Take and Make kits from the library. If not, I'm going to show you everything you need. So you're going to need some Skittles candies, and you can use original Skittles if you like, but I also added in some wild berry Skittles because they have a nice dark blue color that will look really good in your rainbow. So you may want to get both, but either kind is fine on its own. You also need a couple of plates. You can use a couple of plates you have at home. Just make sure they're white and make sure they're very small plates about this size. Also, if you're going to get disposable plates, I would recommend using either foam or plastic because paper plates may get a little soggy and they may not work as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a close-up now. Okay, so we're going to start by arranging our Skittles in a circle around the edge of the plate. You notice I have mine already done, and I've arranged mine this way because it's going to create the color wheel, which we're going to talk a little bit about at the end of this experiment. But you can arrange yours in any way you want, any pattern you like, as long as it's just one circle around the edge of the plate. You want one circle around the edge, but feel free to arrange them in any pattern you like around the edge. So I'm going to have you pause the video for a few seconds and go ahead and arrange your Skittles in a circle. Okay, do you have your Skittles arranged? Are we back? So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take a cup of room temperature water and we're going to pour that carefully into the center of the plate. And we're going to do it very slowly and carefully. We're going to make sure we're not bumping the plate. We're going to make sure we're not shaking the plate. And we're going to make sure we cover our candies about a little bit more than halfway. So I'm going to do that right now. And we'll see what happens. Water's going in, slowly, slowly, slowly. Candies are being covered. Okay, now we just have to stop, wait a few seconds, and pretty soon we should see our rainbow start to appear. Look at that, you can see it starting to form around the edges, and you can see it moving toward the center. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. It's toward the middle. Oh, and look, now our rainbow is complete. The colors have met in the middle. Pretty cool, huh? How did your rainbow come out? So now we're going to go ahead and switch back to our wide shot, and we're going to move on to part 2. Okay, welcome back. How did your rainbow come out? Hopefully it came out even better than mine. So when you're done watching your rainbow, go ahead and watch it for as long as you want. And when you're done, we're going to go ahead and start part 2 of the experiment. And the first thing you'll need to do for part 2 is you will need to go ahead and dump out your rainbow and clean your plate. So you might want to use some paper towels or something like that because it can be really messy if you spill this rainbow. So go ahead and clean that. Take your plate, clean it off really well, and make sure it's very, very dry. And then come on back. I'll go ahead and let you pause the video right now. Okay, are you back with your 2 clean plates? Very good, now it's time to start part 2. So, we're going to take the rest of our Skittles, whatever we have left in the bag, we're going to divide them into 2 even groups. And we're going to arrange some around the edge of each plate. So again, make sure to arrange them in a circle, but you can put them in whatever pattern you want as long as they're in a one single circle around the edge of the plate. Next, we're going to need 2 cups of water this time. And here's what I want you to do. So we're gonna need some cold water, we're gonna need some hot water. So go ahead and put some ice in 1 cup and add a little bit of water. Give it a couple minutes to cool down. And then in the other cup, you're going to put in some hot water. Please just get hot water from the tap. That'll be plenty hot. Make sure not to spill it or burn yourself, but hot water from the tap should be just hot enough. So I'm gonna let you pause the video again and go get your water, and we'll see you back here in just a minute. Okay, if you got your water ready to go, I'm gonna switch to close-up now and show you what you need to do next. Okay, so hopefully you now have your candies arranged and your hot water and your cold water ready to go. If you don't, you might want to go ahead and pause the video now and get those ready. So I'm going to have the hot water going into the one with the red marks around the edge, and I'm going to have the cold water going into the one with the blue marks around the edge. And you want to pour these simultaneously. That means pour them at the same time. That can be hard to do, so you might want to get a helper to pour one while you pour the other. Again, be careful while pouring in case the water is hot. Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to pause the video again and do yours. And then in a minute, we'll come back and you can see what it's supposed to look like and see if yours looked like mine. Okay, so go ahead and pause it now. Okay, are you back? Let's see what your rainbows look like. I'm going to try mine now. Remember, hot is going to be the red. Cold is going to be the blue, and let's see what happens when we pour those in. And try and pour them the same amount at the same time. And let's watch. Here's the hot. You can see it's already starting to come out. Do we see any color from the cold yet? Not very much. Hot's almost already made it to the middle. Hot's racing ahead. Cold is falling behind. Oh, we can see a little bit of color starting to come out from the cold now. Oh, the hot's already finished. The cold is still far behind. Cold is still forming. Cold is getting toward the middle. And it looks like the cold finally made it. Okay, very good. Did yours come out the same way? So first of all, let's talk a little bit about dissolving. So what does that mean exactly? When you pour the water into the plate, the candies dissolve. And that means they make a mixture with the water, which is called a solution. Now, why does that happen? So the reason this happens is that everything around us is made up of tiny, tiny, tiny little pieces called molecules. Very, very small. They're smaller than you can possibly imagine. In fact, if you were to line 1 million water molecules up side by side, they would only be as big as the thickness of one of your hairs. That's how small molecules are. So what's happening is certain types of molecules like to stick together. For example, sugar molecules and water molecules like to stick together. In water, when it's a liquid, all the molecules are constantly moving, and since they're constantly moving, they're constantly bumping against those sugar molecules in the candy. So what happens is, eventually, as those stick to the sugar molecules in the candy, they will start to pull those sugar molecules apart, and you will eventually see the candies dissolve and become a solution. So what you might want to do now is try dipping your finger and tasting. You should find that your solution tastes a little bit sweet, and that's because the sugar molecules have dissolved into the water. Now, also, you'll see the colors and the flavors will dissolve a little bit too. So those are in the solution too. So you may be able to taste some of the flavors, and of course you can see the colors. In part 2 of the experiment, why did the candies dissolve faster in the hot water than they did in the cold water? If you remember, the rainbow appeared much faster in the hot water than it did in the cold water. Well, the reason is, when you measure the temperature of a liquid, what you're really measuring is how fast those molecules are moving. In a hotter liquid, the molecules are moving faster. In a colder liquid, they're moving slower. So when you have the molecules moving faster, they are bumping into those candies a little more often, and they're bumping into them a little bit harder, which makes it easier for them to break those sugar molecules off and carry them back into the solution. In the colder water, those molecules are moving very slowly, and they're not bumping in as often or as fast to the candies, so the candies stay together a little longer, and they don't dissolve as quickly. And now a little bit about color. If you remember in part 1 of my experiment, I arranged the candies in a particular way around the circle. I did that for a particular reason. That represents the color wheel. I'll show you a little bit about the color wheel in this book. So the color wheel is a way to arrange colors and remember how they're related to one another. Here's a good picture of the color wheel. So you will see in the color wheel there are 3 primary colors. Those are going to be red, blue, and yellow. And there are 3 secondary colors. Those are going to be orange, purple, and green. Now, the way the color wheel works is if you combine any 2 primary colors, you will get the secondary color that is between them. So for example, if you combine red and blue, you're going to get purple. If you combine red and yellow, you will get orange. If you combine yellow and blue, you will get green. So this is a useful way to organize the colors and to think about and remember how they're related to one another. So now I'd encourage you to continue exploring and investigating this topic and see what else you can find out. For example, do other types of colored candies work? Maybe try a different kind of candy. Maybe try a different liquid. Would a clear soda or milk work? Or maybe try arranging the candies in different shapes on the plate and see what happens when you pour water on them. So keep exploring, keep learning, and if you'd like to learn more about any of these topics, please do stop by the Whittier Public Library. We have lots of books you can borrow. You can ask our children's librarians to help you find a book about, for example, colors. Or maybe you could find a book with some more science experiments and projects. Here's one right here. Or we even have one of candy experiments. You could get a book about chemistry and learn a little bit more about molecules. Or maybe you just want to read a funny book about colors, like Love from the Crayons, or a book about candy, like Bad Kitty Does Not Like Candy. We have lots of books to choose from, so make sure to stop by and borrow something soon. Thanks for joining us today, and please don't forget to take our survey. I will display the address to find that survey again right now. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.